Hello there, and welcome to Whispers of Science, where curiosity meets comfort and science drifts along like a gentle current. Tonight, we're floating into the mysterious realm of some of Earth's most ancient and ethereal inhabitants, jellyfish. These translucent wanderers have been gracing our oceans for over 500 million years. Long before dinosaurs roamed the earth, before flowers bloomed, before fish learned to swim, jellyfish were already dancing through primordial seas in their silent, graceful way. Before we begin our tranquil voyage into their watery world, I'd love to know where you're listening from tonight and what time it is in your corner of the globe. Are you perhaps near an ocean where these very creatures might be drifting just beyond the waves? Or are you tucked away inland, dreaming of distant shores? If you find this gentle exploration soothing or simply a lovely way to unwind after the day's adventures, I'd be ever so grateful if you gave the video a like and perhaps subscribed. It helps this quiet corner of science reach others who might need a peaceful pause in their evening. Now, I do hope this isn't so fascinating that it keeps you awake, but if it does, well, at least you'll drift off having learned something wonderful about some of nature's most enigmatic drifters. So settle in, let your thoughts grow soft, and let's begin. Because somewhere between the surface, sparkle, and the deep, dark depths lies the story of jellyfish. What exactly is a jellyfish? It seems like such a simple question, doesn't it? And yet these creatures are far more complex and mysterious than their seemingly simple forms might suggest. Despite their name, jellyfish aren't fish at all. They're cnidarians, a group that also includes sea anemones and corals. They have no brain, no heart, no blood, and no central nervous system, and yet they've mastered the art of survival in ways that would make any philosopher of existence quite envious. Imagine a creature that is 95% water, a living embodiment of the ocean itself. Their bodies are so delicate, so ethereal, that they seem almost like underwater ghosts made of moonlight and sea foam. And yet within this apparent fragility lies a design so elegant, so perfectly adapted, that it has remained virtually unchanged for hundreds of millions of years. Evolution, it seems, found the perfect blueprint early on and decided not to tinker with success. The basic anatomy of a jellyfish is beautifully simple, yet remarkably effective at the top, or what we might call the head. Though it's not really a head at all, sits the bell or umbrella, a dome-shaped structure that pulses rhythmically to propel the creature through the water hanging beneath. Like delicate curtains are the tentacles armed with specialized cells called kinetocytes that contain tiny harpoons called nematocysts. These microscopic weapons can fire in less than a millisecond, making them one of the fastest cellular processes in the animal kingdom. But perhaps the most enchanting aspect of jellyfish anatomy is their radial symmetry. Unlike humans and most animals we're familiar with, which have bilateral symmetry, jellyfish are organized like a living mandala, with body parts arranged around a central axis. This gives them an otherworldly beauty, as if they were designed by some cosmic artist who understood that nature's most ancient forms often possess the most timeless elegance. Their mouths located at the center of their bell serve double duty as both entrance and exit for food and waste. It's a remarkably efficient system that eliminates the need for complex digestive tract that burden more evolved creatures. Some species have elaborate oral arms that flutter and dance as they feed, creating an almost hypnotic underwater ballet. The diversity among jellyfish species is truly astounding. There are tiny jellyfish, no bigger than a pinhead, and giants with bells spanning several feet across some glow with their own internal light, creating living lanterns in the dark depths. Others are transparent as glass, visible only by the subtle refraction of light through their bodies. Still others sport vibrant colors that would make any sunset jealous. Take the moon jelly. For instance, one of the most common and recognizable species. Its translucent bell, marked with four distinctive horseshoe shaped reproductive organs, gives it an almost alien beauty. These gentle drifters are found in oceans around the world, pulsing through the water with a rhythm as steady and soothing as a sleeping heartbeat. Then there's the upside down jellyfish, a curious creature that lives life, literally inverted, resting bell down on shallow sandy bottoms. These innovative jellies have formed a partnership with algae that live within their tissues. The algae photosynthesize, providing food, while the jellyfish provides a mobile home and protection. It's a beautiful example of cooperation in nature, where two very different life forms have learned to thrive together. The immortal jellyfish deserves special mention for its almost magical ability to reverse its aging process when faced with stress injury or old age. This remarkable creature can essentially rewind its biological clock, transforming from an adult back into a juvenile polyp. It's as if it discovered the fountain of youth hidden in its own cellular machinery. Though whether this truly makes it immortal in the philosophical sense remains a question that might keep marine biologists awake at night. Some jellyfish are solitary wanderers, content to drift alone through the vast blue. Others form spectacular aggregations called blooms, where thousands or even millions of individuals gather in underwater cities. These blooms can stretch for miles, creating underwater snowstorms of pulsing life that are both beautiful and occasionally problematic. For human activities, the box jellyfish represents the more dangerous side of jellyfish existence, equipped with some of the most potent venom in the animal kingdom. These creatures are among the few jellyfish that can actively hunt rather than simply waiting for prey to blunder into their tentacles. Their sophisticated eyes can actually form images, allowing them to navigate and pursue their quarry with surprising precision. But for every dangerous species, there are countless harmless ones that pose no threat to humans at all. Many jellyfish stings are merely uncomfortable rather than dangerous, and some species can barely sting at all. Their nematocysts, too weak to penetrate human skin. It's worth remembering that jellyfish don't sting out of malice or aggression. They're simply defending themselves or trying to capture food in the only way they know how. The reproductive cycle of jellyfish reads like something from a fairy tale, full of transformations and magical changes. Most jellyfish have a complex life cycle that alternates between two very different forms. The medusa, which is what we typically think of as a jellyfish, and the polyp, a small sedentary form that looks more like a tiny sea anemone. The story begins when adult jellyfish release eggs and sperm into the water where fertilization occurs. The resulting larvae, called planulae, swim about for a while before settling on a hard surface and transforming into polyps. These polyps can live for months or even years, budding off genetically identical copies of themselves, like underwater gardens when conditions are right. The polyps undergo another remarkable transformation through a process called strobilation. They begin to segment like a stack of plates, each segment eventually breaking free as a tiny jellyfish called an ephora. These juvenile jellyfish then grow and mature into the graceful adult forms we recognize completing the circle of their mysterious existence. This complex life cycle helps explain why jellyfish populations can seem to explode seemingly overnight. The polyp stage acts like a biological time bomb, waiting for the right environmental conditions to release waves of new jellyfish into the water. It's a strategy that has served them well for millions of years, allowing them to take advantage of favorable conditions while surviving through difficult times. Jellyfish have no centralized brain, yet they navigate their world with surprising sophistication. They can sense light and dark up and down the chemical signatures of food and danger. Some species can even learn from experience, modifying their behavior based on past encounters. It challenges our assumptions about what intelligence looks like and reminds us that there are many ways to be successful in this world. Their feeding strategies are as diverse as their forms. Some are passive drifters, spreading their tentacles like underwater nets to catch whatever small creatures happen to swim into them. Others are more active hunters, using their bells to create water currents that draw prey toward their waiting tentacles. Still others form partnerships with small fish that live among their tentacles, protected from predators while helping to lure other fish within striking distance. The relationship between jellyfish and their environment is one of delicate balance. They serve as both predator and prey, supporting complex food webs that stretch from the smallest plankton to the largest marine animals. Sea turtles feast on jellyfish, as do many species of fish and seabirds. In turn, jellyfish help control populations of small fish and zooplankton, maintaining the intricate balance that keeps ocean ecosystems healthy. Their role as both predator and prey creates fascinating ripple effects throughout marine ecosystems. When jellyfish populations bloom, they can consume vast quantities of fish larvae and zooplankton, potentially affecting the recruitment of commercial fish species. Conversely, when jellyfish numbers decline, the small creatures they normally consume can flourish, sometimes leading to changes in water clarity and nutrient cycling. It's a reminder that even the most seemingly simple creatures play complex roles in the grand tapestry of ocean life. The sensory world of jellyfish is utterly alien to our own experience. Imagine navigating through life, guided not by sight or sound, but by chemical gradients, pressure changes, and the subtle play of light and shadow. Many jellyfish possess simple eye spots that can detect changes in illumination, helping them maintain their position in the water column or avoid predators. Some species have more sophisticated visual organs, complete with lenses and corneas that can form crude images, though what these images might look like to a creature without a brain to process them remains one of nature's enduring mysteries. Their sense of touch extends throughout their bell and tentacles, allowing them to detect the slightest disturbance in the water around them. This sensitivity serves them well in their aquatic world, where vibrations might signal approaching prey or potential danger. They can also sense changes in water pressure, helping them maintain their preferred depth and respond to ocean currents that might carry them toward food or away from threats. The chemical senses of jellyfish are perhaps their most sophisticated detection systems. They can taste the water around them, identifying the molecular signatures of food mates, and danger dissolved chemicals tell them stories about their environment that we can barely imagine guiding them through a world where scent trails drift on currents and the taste of fear or desire lingers in the water like invisible smoke. Many jellyfish are masters of light, creating their own illumination through bioluminescence. This living light serves multiple purposes, from startling predators to attracting prey and communicating with potential mates. The chemistry behind this glow is elegantly simple, yet produces effects that seem almost magical as creatures of light pulse and flicker in the darkness, like underwater stars. The production of bioluminescence involves a chemical reaction between a light producing compound called luciferin and an enzyme called luciferase. When these molecules combine in the presence of oxygen, they create a cold light that generates virtually no heat. It's an incredibly efficient system that puts human lighting technology to shame, producing illumination with almost no energy waste. Some jellyfish use their light defensively, creating brilliant flashes when attacked that can startle predators and provide crucial seconds for escape. Others use steady glows to attract small fish and crustaceans that mistake the jellyfish for something edible only to become dinner themselves. Still others create complex light patterns that may serve as a form of communication, though deciphering these underwater light shows remains a challenge for marine biologists. The colors of bioluminescent jellyfish span the spectrum from deep blues and greens to brilliant whites and even occasional reds. Each species has evolved its own signature glow, fine tuned by millions of years of evolution to serve its particular lifestyle, and habitat needs. The deep sea species often produce blue green light that travels farthest in water, while shallow water species might use different colors that stand out against the filtered sunlight. Watching a bioluminescent jellyfish in its natural habitat is like witnessing a living constellation. Each pulse of light creates ripples of illumination that fade and reform in hypnotic patterns. It's no wonder that these creatures have inspired countless myths and legends throughout human history, their ethereal beauty and mysterious nature seeming almost supernatural to observers, both ancient and modern. The movement of jellyfish through water is a study in fluid dynamics and elegant simplicity. Their bell contracts rhythmically, forcing water out behind them and propelling them forward through jet propulsion. It's the same principle used by rocket engines, but executed with a grace that no human technology has yet matched. The pulsing rhythm varies from species to species, some beating rapidly like underwater hummingbirds, others moving with the slow, deliberate pace of a meditation. This method of locomotion, while beautiful, is not particularly efficient. Jellyfish are largely at the mercy of ocean currents and can only swim weakly against strong flows. This limitation has shaped their entire lifestyle, turning them into masters of drift rather than directed movement. They've learned to read the subtle signs of water movement, using currents as highways to carry them toward food and favorable conditions. The vertical migrations performed by many jellyfish species represent some of the most impressive journeys in the animal kingdom twice. Daily millions of jellyfish rise from the depths toward the surface following the movements of the zooplankton. They feed upon this great migration involves traveling hundreds or even thousands of feet, requiring precise timing and navigation abilities that scientists are only beginning to understand. During these vertical journeys, jellyfish encounter dramatically different conditions from the cold, dark depths to the warm, sunlit surface. Waters, they must adapt to changes in pressure, temperature, and light levels that would challenge any traveler. Yet they make these journeys with apparent ease, their simple bodies proving remarkably resilient to environmental extremes. The social lives of jellyfish, when they have them at all, are quite different from what we might expect. Some species are solitary wanderers, rarely encountering others of their kind, except during brief mating encounters. Others form loose aggregations, where individuals drift together without much interaction, like strangers sharing an elevator. But some jellyfish create spectacular displays of collective behavior, forming blooms that can contain millions of individuals. These gatherings aren't random events, but appear to be triggered by specific environmental conditions, such as water temperature, nutrient availability, and seasonal changes when conditions align just right. Jellyfish can appear in numbers that boggle the imagination, turning entire bays and coastlines into pulsing seas of translucent life. These blooms serve important biological functions, allowing for mass reproduction and taking advantage of favorable feeding conditions. But they can also create challenges for human activities, clogging fishing nets, disrupting power plant cooling systems, and occasionally making swimming unpleasant for beachgoers. It's a reminder that we share the oceans with creatures whose needs and behaviors don't always align with our own. The timing of jellyfish blooms often coincides with seasonal patterns that have been established over millions of years. Spring blooms may follow the warming of surface waters and the increase in plankton populations, while autumn gatherings might be triggered by changing day length or water chemistry. These ancient rhythms connect modern jellyfish to the same environmental cues that guided their ancestors through countless generations. Within these blooms, individual jellyfish maintain their independence. There's no central coordination or communication that we can detect. Yet somehow the group moves and behaves as a loosely organized unit. It's as if each jellyfish is following the same sheet music, playing their part in a vast underwater symphony without a conductor. The feeding frenzies that can occur during blooms are spectacular to witness millions of jellyfish pulsing through clouds of plankton, their tentacles extended like living nets. The water becomes thick with both predator and prey, creating a temporary ecosystem where the normal rules of ocean life are suspended in favor of abundance. Jellyfish have developed remarkable adaptations for survival in a world that can be both nurturing and hostile. Their transparent bodies provide excellent camouflage, making them nearly invisible to both predators and prey. This ghostly appearance isn't just for show, it's a sophisticated survival strategy that has kept them alive for hundreds of millions of years. Their ability to compress and expand their bodies allows them to squeeze through surprisingly small spaces and survive in environments where other creatures might become trapped or injured. This flexibility extends beyond physical form to their entire lifestyle, making them remarkably adaptable to changing conditions. Some jellyfish have evolved specialized structures that help them capture and handle different types of prey. Sticky tentacles that can entangle small fish, elaborate oral arms that can manipulate captured food, and even specialized chambers where prey can be held while being digested. These adaptations show that despite their simple appearance, jellyfish are sophisticated predators perfectly tuned to their aquatic environment. The regenerative abilities of many jellyfish species border on the miraculous. They can regrow lost tentacles, repair damaged bells, and in some cases, even regenerate entire body parts. This remarkable healing ability helps them survive encounters with predators and accidents that would be fatal to less resilient creatures. Their reproductive strategies are equally impressive. Many species can reproduce both sexually and asexually, giving them multiple pathways to create the next generation. Sexual reproduction provides genetic diversity that helps populations adapt to changing conditions, while asexual reproduction through budding allows rapid population growth when conditions are favorable. The larvae of jellyfish are master travelers capable of surviving long journeys on ocean currents before settling down to begin their adult lives. These tiny planulae can remain viable for weeks or even months, drifting thousands of miles from their birthplace. This incredible dispersal ability has helped jellyfish colonize oceans around the world, establishing populations in every marine environment, from tropical reefs to polar seas. Some jellyfish have evolved partnerships that would make any diplomat proud, forming symbiotic relationships with algae that live within their tissues. These tiny plant partners photosynthesize during the day, converting sunlight into sugars that nourish their jellyfish hosts. In return, the jellyfish provides protection, transportation, and nutrients for the algae. It's a beautiful example of cooperation where both parties benefit, creating living solar panels that drift through sunlit waters. This partnership has allowed certain jellyfish species to colonize shallow tropical waters where sunlight is abundant. The upside down jellyfish we mentioned earlier has taken this relationship to its logical conclusion, spending most of its time resting bell down on sandy bottoms like a living solar collector, its body positioned to maximize the sunlight exposure for its algal partners. The colors displayed by these symbiotic jellyfish often reflect the health and density of their algal passengers. Vibrant greens and browns indicate thriving partnerships, while pale or bleached appearance might signal stress or the loss of algal partners. Environmental changes that affect the algae can have dramatic impacts on their jellyfish hosts, creating a delicate balance that has been maintained for millions of years. Jellyfish navigate their three-dimensional world using a combination of simple behaviors and complex environmental cues. They can sense gravity, helping them maintain their orientation in the water column and detect pressure changes that signal their depth. Many species perform daily vertical migrations following the rhythms of their planktonic prey in movements that span hundreds of meters. These migrations represent some of the most extensive animal movements on Earth as millions of jellyfish rise and fall through the water column twice each day, following ancient patterns that predate human civilization. The timing is remarkably precise, synchronized with the movement of sunlight through the ocean and the daily rhythms of marine life. During these vertical journeys, jellyfish encounter completely different worlds. The surface waters warm and brighten with life during the day, but can become food deserts at night. As zooplankton descend to deeper waters, the depths offer cooler temperatures, protection from surface predators, and different feeding opportunities. but require navigation in perpetual darkness. The energy costs of these migrations are substantial, yet jellyfish have evolved efficient swimming techniques that minimize the effort required. Their bell contractions create vortex rings that provide additional thrust, making each pulse more effective than simple jet propulsion. This hydrodynamic efficiency allows them to travel great distances while expending relatively little energy. Some species have learned to ride ocean currents like underwater hitchhikers, positioning themselves in specific water layers where currents flow in favorable directions. This behavior requires an understanding of ocean dynamics that seems remarkable for creatures without brains. They somehow sense the subtle differences in water movement that indicate advantageous currents. The seasonal movements of jellyfish can span entire ocean basins as they follow temperature gradients, nutrient upwellings, and the complex patterns of ocean circulation. These epic journeys often bring jellyfish into contact with human activities, creating both wonder and occasional inconvenience, as ancient migration routes intersect with modern shipping lanes and coastal developments. The reproduction of jellyfish unfolds like an underwater fairy tale, filled with transformations that would challenge any storyteller's imagination. The process begins when mature jellyfish release clouds of eggs and sperm into the water, creating underwater snowstorms of potential life. Fertilization occurs in the open ocean, where currents mix and swirl the genetic material of different individuals. The resulting larvae, called planulae, are tiny ciliated creatures that look nothing like their parents. These microscopic travelers swim through the water for days or weeks, powered by countless tiny hairs that beat in coordinated waves. They're searching for the perfect place to settle down and begin the next phase of their remarkable journey. When a planula finds a suitable hard surface, perhaps a rock or shell or pier piling, it settles down and undergoes a dramatic transformation, morphing into a polyp that resembles a tiny sea anemone more than a jellyfish. These polyps can live for months or even years, growing and budding off identical copies of themselves. Like underwater gardens, the polyp stage serves as a kind of biological time bank, storing genetic potential until conditions are right for the next generation, when temperature, food availability, and other environmental factors align. The polyps begin a process called strobilation that looks like nothing so much as magic. During strobilation, the polyp begins to segment itself, creating a stack of disc-like structures. Each segment eventually breaks free as a tiny ephora, a juvenile jellyfish, no bigger than a fingernail. These baby jellyfish look like miniature versions of their adult forms, complete with tiny bells and tentacles, ready to begin their own drifting journey. The timing of this release is often synchronized across entire populations, creating waves of new jellyfish that pulse through the water like living confetti. It's a strategy that maximizes the chances of survival by overwhelming predators with sheer numbers, while ensuring that at least some individuals will find favorable conditions. As ephorae grow, they gradually develop the full complement of adult features. Their bells expand, their tentacles lengthen, and their feeding abilities become more sophisticated. The transformation from microscopic polyp to graceful adult can take weeks or months, depending on species and environmental conditions. Some jellyfish species have evolved alternative reproductive strategies that bypass the polyp stage entirely. These direct developers produce miniature versions of themselves that grow directly into adults without the complex life cycle transformations. This streamlined approach may be advantageous in unstable environments where settling sites for polyps are scarce. The genetic diversity created through sexual reproduction helps jellyfish populations adapt to changing environmental conditions, while the clonal reproduction of polyps allows rapid population expansion when conditions are favorable. This dual strategy has contributed to their evolutionary success over hundreds of millions of years. Certain species can even reproduce without mating through a process called parthenogenesis, where unfertilized eggs develop into viable offspring. This backup reproductive strategy ensures that isolated individuals can still contribute to the next generation, even when mates are scarce. The courtship behaviors of jellyfish, when they occur at all, are subtle affairs involving chemical signals and synchronized swimming patterns. Some species release pheromones that attract potential mates from considerable distances, while others engage in elaborate dances that bring males and females together for brief reproductive encounters. The remarkable diversity of jellyfish reproductive strategies reflects their adaptation to countless different marine environments, from the predictable rhythms of temperate seas to the challenging conditions of polar waters. Each species has evolved approaches that maximize their reproductive success in their particular corner of the ocean. Their ancient lineage means that jellyfish have witnessed the rise and fall of countless other species, serving as silent observers to the great drama of evolution. They've survived mass extinctions that wiped out the dinosaurs, persisted through ice ages, and adapted to changing ocean chemistry that challenged many other marine organisms. This resilience stems partly from their simple body plan, which requires fewer resources to maintain and can adapt to a wide range of conditions. Their lack of complex organ systems that might fail under stress gives them an advantage in unpredictable environments where more sophisticated creatures might struggle. The fossil record of jellyfish is frustratingly sparse due to their soft bodies, which rarely preserve well. However, occasional discoveries of jellyfish, impressions in ancient rocks, reveal creatures that are remarkably similar to modern species, suggesting that they found an optimal design early in their evolutionary history and have stuck with success. Some of the oldest known jellyfish fossils date back over 500 million years to the Cambrian period, when life was experimenting with countless new forms. These ancient specimens show the same basic body plan that characterizes modern jellyfish, proof that sometimes evolution creates designs so perfect they need little improvement. The chemical composition of jellyfish bodies reflects their aquatic lifestyle. They're essentially living seawater held together by a delicate protein matrix. This high water content makes them incredibly efficient at maintaining neutral buoyancy, allowing them to drift effortlessly through their liquid environment. Their tissues contain specialized proteins that give them structure while remaining flexible enough to compress and expand with each swimming pulse. These proteins are arranged in precise patterns that create the transparent beauty we associate with jellyfish while providing the mechanical properties needed for locomotion. The study of jellyfish proteins has inspired biomaterials scientists who are working to create artificial materials with similar properties. The ability to be both strong and flexible, transparent yet functional, has applications in everything from medical devices to underwater robotics jellyfish also produce a variety of bioactive compounds that serve defensive and offensive purposes. Many of these chemicals are being investigated for potential medical applications as researchers discover that millions of years of evolution have created molecular tools that might benefit human health. Their role in ocean food webs extends far beyond their immediate predator prey relationships. Jellyfish serve as living conveyor belts, moving nutrients between different parts of the ocean as they migrate vertically. They transport energy from surface waters to the deep sea, and their waste products fertilize the water around them. When jellyfish die, their bodies decompose, rapidly releasing nutrients back into the water in forms that can be used by bacteria and phytoplankton. This recycling process helps maintain the productivity of marine ecosystems and demonstrates how, even in death, jellyfish continue to contribute to ocean health. The mucus that many jellyfish produce serves multiple functions, from capturing prey to providing protection against parasites and infections. This slimy coating also creates microhabitats for bacteria and other microscopic organisms, turning each jellyfish into a floating ecosystem complete with its own community of residents. Some fish species have learned to take advantage of jellyfish presence, following them to feed on the small creatures that are stunned or captured by jellyfish tentacles. These opportunistic relationships show how jellyfish influence the behavior and distribution of other marine animals, even when they're not directly interacting. The seasonal appearance of jellyfish in many coastal areas has become part of the natural rhythm that other species depend upon. Seabirds time their breeding cycles to coincide with jellyfish blooms, while sea turtles undertake long migrations to reach areas where jellyfish are abundant. The relationship between jellyfish and climate presents one of the most intriguing chapters in their long story. As ocean temperatures rise and weather patterns shift, these ancient drifters are responding in ways that scientists are only beginning to understand. Some species seem to thrive in warmer waters, expanding their ranges poleward as thermal barriers that once contained them begin to dissolve. Others find themselves struggling as the delicate chemical balance of their ocean home shifts in unprecedented ways. The acidification of seawater caused by increased carbon dioxide absorption affects jellyfish in complex ways. Their simple bodies lack the calcium carbonate shells that make many marine creatures vulnerable to acidic conditions. Yet the organisms they feed upon, from tiny copepods to fish larvae, may be less fortunate, creating ripple effects that cascade through the food web in ways both subtle and profound. Warming seas have triggered jellyfish blooms of unprecedented size and duration. In some regions, where once these creatures appeared predictably, with the seasons they now arrive earlier, stay longer, and appear in numbers that can overwhelm local ecosystems. The Black Sea experienced such dramatic jellyfish population explosions in recent decades that fishing industries struggled to adapt their nets, clogged with gelatinous masses instead of the fish they sought. Yet these same warming trends have pushed some cold water jellyfish species toward the poles, forcing them into smaller refugia where their ancient rhythms may be disrupted. The Arctic species that have evolved over millennia to thrive in icy waters now face an uncertain future as their frozen world transforms around them. It's a reminder that even the most adaptable creatures have limits to their resilience. The changing patterns of ocean currents, driven by shifting wind patterns and temperature gradients, are rewriting the ancient migration maps that jellyfish have followed for millions of years. Species that once arrived at breeding grounds with clockwork precision now face altered pathways that may lead them astray or fail to deliver them to the productive waters their life cycles depend upon. Some jellyfish have shown remarkable behavioral plasticity in response to these changes, altering their vertical migration patterns to track shifting temperature layers or adjusting their reproductive timing to match new seasonal rhythms. It's evolution in real time as these creatures adapt their ancient strategies to a rapidly changing world. The deep sea jellyfish that inhabit the most stable environments on Earth are among the least studied, yet potentially most vulnerable to change the abyssal waters they call home, have remained virtually unchanged for millions of years, creating ecosystems of extraordinary specialization where even small alterations in temperature or chemistry could have profound consequences. In some regions, jellyfish populations have become indicators of ecosystem health, their presence or absence serving as living barometers of ocean conditions. Marine biologists now track jellyfish blooms as carefully as meteorologists track storm systems, recognizing that these ancient creatures often signal changes in their environment before other indicators become apparent. The bioluminescent displays of deep sea jellyfish may be among the first casualties of changing ocean chemistry, as the energy costs of light production become more challenging. In acidified waters, these living lighthouses of the deep could dim, leaving the abyss darker and more mysterious than it has been for millions of years. Coastal development has created new challenges and opportunities for jellyfish populations. Artificial structures like piers and breakwaters provide novel surfaces for polyp settlement, while pollution from urban runoff can create conditions that favor jellyfish over their competitors and predators. The result is often an explosion of jellyfish in areas where human activity is most concentrated. The harvesting of jellyfish as food, particularly in Asian cuisines, has created new pressures on some populations while potentially offering sustainable alternatives to overfish species. These gelatinous delicacies require careful preparation to remove stinging cells and create palatable textures, but they represent a protein source that has been largely untapped by Western cultures. Jellyfish farming has emerged as a cottage industry in some regions where their beauty makes them popular in aquarium displays. Breeding these creatures in captivity requires understanding their complex life cycles and creating conditions that allow both polyp and medusa stages to thrive. It's a reminder that even seemingly simple organisms can present sophisticated challenges. The pharmaceutical potential of jellyfish compounds continues to attract research attention. Their venoms contain complex cocktails of proteins and peptides that have evolved over millions of years to affect nervous systems and cellular processes. These natural pharmaceuticals may hold keys to treating human diseases, though extracting and purifying them presents significant technical challenges. Some researchers are exploring the use of jellyfish collagen in tissue engineering applications, taking advantage of the unique properties that allow these creatures to maintain their structure while remaining incredibly flexible. The transparent nature of jellyfish tissues also makes them valuable for studying cellular processes in ways that wouldn't be possible with opaque organisms. The regenerative abilities that allow jellyfish to regrow lost body parts have captured the attention of scientists working on human wound healing and organ replacement. Understanding how these creatures can reconstruct complex tissues without scarring or loss of function could revolutionize approaches to medical treatment and recovery. Biomimetic engineers study jellyfish propulsion systems, seeking to create underwater vehicles that move with similar efficiency and grace. The pulsing motion that seems so simple actually involves sophisticated fluid dynamics that create vortex rings and maximize thrust while minimizing energy expenditure. The sensory systems of jellyfish continue to yield surprises as researchers discover increasingly sophisticated abilities hidden within their seemingly simple anatomy. Some species can detect polarized light patterns that help them navigate, while others sense magnetic fields that may guide their movements across vast ocean distances. The social behaviors of jellyfish, when they exist at all, challenge our understanding of collective action without central coordination. How millions of individuals can move together in loose aggregations without apparent communication remains one of the enduring mysteries of marine biology. Recent discoveries of jellyfish in the deepest ocean trenches have expanded our understanding of where life can exist on Earth. These creatures living under crushing pressure in perpetual darkness represent some of the most extreme adaptations to marine environments. Their existence suggests that jellyfish may be even more versatile than previously imagined. The role of jellyfish as marine ecosystem engineers is becoming clearer as scientists study their impacts on water column structure and nutrient cycling. Their migrations create biological pumps that move materials between surface and deep waters, while their feeding activities can alter the composition of planktonic communities. Some jellyfish species have evolved remarkable camouflage abilities beyond simple transparency, creating patterns and colors that help them blend with their surroundings or mimic other organisms. These adaptive strategies show that even creatures without complex brains can develop sophisticated survival techniques. The study of jellyfish aging processes has revealed that these creatures experience senescence differently than most animals. Some species show little decline in function with age, while others, like the famous immortal jellyfish, can reverse their aging process entirely. Understanding these mechanisms could provide insights into human aging and longevity. Jellyfish have inspired artists and writers for centuries, their ethereal beauty and mysterious nature appearing in everything from ancient mythology to modern science fiction. Their translucent forms and hypnotic movements continue to captivate human imagination, representing the alien beauty that exists in our own world. The economic impacts of jellyfish extend far beyond their direct effects on fishing and tourism. Their role in maintaining healthy ocean ecosystems supports countless industries that depend on marine resources, from shipping to coastal development. The value of their ecosystem services, though difficult to quantify, is undoubtedly enormous. Conservation efforts for jellyfish face unique challenges, since these creatures often lack the charismatic appeal of marine mammals or sea turtles. Yet their importance to ocean health makes their protection crucial for maintaining marine biodiversity. Protecting jellyfish means protecting the entire web of relationships that sustain ocean life. The future of jellyfish research lies in combining traditional field studies with new technologies from genetic sequencing to satellite tracking. These tools are revealing previously hidden aspects of jellyfish biology and ecology, opening new chapters in their ancient story. Underwater robotics inspired by jellyfish design are being developed for ocean exploration and monitoring. These biomimetic vehicles could provide new ways to study marine environments while minimizing disturbance to the creatures they're designed to emulate. The cultural significance of jellyfish varies dramatically across different societies, some viewing them as symbols of grace and adaptation, while others see them primarily as nuisances or dangers. These diverse perspectives reflect the complex relationships between humans and the natural world. Educational programs featuring jellyfish have proven remarkably effective at engaging public interest in marine science. Their visual appeal and mysterious nature make them perfect ambassadors for ocean conservation, helping people connect emotionally with marine ecosystems. They might otherwise overlook the seasonal rhythms of jellyfish. Populations have become part of the natural calendar in many coastal regions, their appearance marking transitions between seasons and serving as indicators of changing ocean conditions. Local communities often develop traditions and festivals around jellyfish blooms, celebrating these ancient visitors. Monitoring jellyfish populations requires international cooperation since many species migrate across national boundaries. Sharing data and coordinating research efforts helps scientists understand global patterns and trends in jellyfish abundance and distribution. The role of citizen science in jellyfish research has grown dramatically as smartphone apps and online platforms make it easier for the public to report sightings and contribute observations. These crowdsourced datasets provide valuable information about jellyfish distribution and behavior patterns. Climate change is altering the timing of jellyfish life cycles in ways that may disrupt their synchronization with food sources and predators. These temporal mismatches could have cascading effects throughout marine food webs as relationships that evolved over millions of years become uncoupled. The development of jellyfish early warning systems helps coastal communities prepare for bloom events that might affect beaches, swimming conditions, or fishing activities. These monitoring programs combine satellite imagery, oceanographic data, and field observations to predict when and where jellyfish might appear. Some researchers are investigating whether jellyfish could serve as indicators of ocean health, much like canaries once warned miners of dangerous gases. The presence, abundance, and behavior of jellyfish populations might provide early warnings of ecosystem changes before they become apparent through other means. The ancient wisdom encoded in jellyfish biology continues to surprise scientists as new research techniques reveal previously hidden complexities. Their simple appearance masks sophisticated adaptations that have allowed them to thrive for longer than almost any other animal group on Earth. As we drift toward deeper understanding of these remarkable creatures, we find ourselves humbled by their resilience, their beauty, and their profound connection to the rhythms of our planet. They remind us that success in the natural world doesn't always require complexity. Sometimes the most elegant solutions are also the simplest ones. Jellyfish embody a kind of liquid grace that speaks to something deep in the human psyche, perhaps because they represent a form of existence So different from our own, yet so perfectly adapted to their world. They move through their three-dimensional realm with a freedom we can only imagine, unbound by gravity, unconstrained by the need for solid ground. Their transparency makes them seem almost like living windows into the ocean itself, creatures of water and light that blur the boundaries between organism and environment. They are both part of the sea and separate from it, individual yet inseparable from the medium that sustains them. Watching jellyfish in their natural habitat induces a kind of meditative trance. Their rhythmic pulsing creates patterns that seem to slow time itself. Each contraction of their bella heartbeat in the vast circulatory system of the ocean, each graceful drift, a note in the silent symphony of marine life. In the deepest trenches of our oceans, where sunlight has never penetrated and pressure would crush most living things, jellyfish continue their ancient dance. These abyssal wanderers have evolved into forms that seem conjured from dreams rather than reality, their bodies stretched and modified by millions of years in the eternal darkness. Some sport elaborate crowns of tentacles, others glow with bioluminescent patterns that create living constellations in the void. The vampire squid jellyfish, if we may call it that, though it's not quite either creature, represents one of nature's most haunting adaptations. Its deep red coloration and cloak like webbing create an otherworldly silhouette that drifts through the midnight zone like a phantom from Gothic literature. Yet, for all its dramatic appearance, this creature is perfectly suited to its harsh environment. Its metabolism slowed to match the sparse availability of food, its movements conserved to make the most of limited energy. In these crushing depths, where temperatures hover just above freezing, jellyfish have learned to live life in slow motion, their bell contractions measured in minutes rather than seconds, their tentacles drifting like underwater prayer flags in currents so gentle they barely register to our surface dwelling senses. Time moves differently, here measured not in heartbeats or seasons, but in the patient accumulation of marine snow, the gentle drift of organic particles that serves as the primary food source for these deep sea drifters. Some deep ocean jellyfish have evolved into living galaxies, their bodies spangled with photophores that create patterns of light so complex they seem almost like written messages in an alien script. These bioluminescent displays serve purposes we can only guess at, perhaps communication between individuals separated by vast distances, or lures to attract the few creatures that share their lightless world. The siphonophores, though not technically jellyfish, are close relatives that have taken the concept of colonial living to extraordinary extremes. These creatures are not individuals, but floating cities composed of hundreds or thousands of specialized zooids, each performing a specific function, like organs in a distributed body. Some zooids handle swimming, others manage feeding, still others focus on reproduction. The result is a creature that can stretch for dozens of meters, resembling an underwater alien spacecraft, complete with its own internal lighting system. Among the most remarkable of these colonial creatures is the Portuguese man O War, whose brilliant blue gas filled float rides the surface like a living sail, while its tentacles trail beneath like deadly streamers. This creature demonstrates how jellyfish relatives have conquered not just the depths, but the interface between air and sea, riding the winds while hunting in the waves below. It's a master of two elements, perfectly adapted to a life lived partially above and below the surface. The Arctic jellyfish represent another extreme of adaptation. These cold water specialists have evolved to thrive in conditions that would challenge most life forms. Their bodies contain natural antifreeze compounds that prevent ice crystals from forming in their tissues, while their metabolism operates efficiently at temperatures that would shut down warm water species. During the brief Arctic summer, these creatures emerge from beneath the ice in numbers that can darken the water, creating underwater blizzards of translucent life. Some Arctic species have synchronized their reproductive cycles with the extreme seasonal variations of their polar home timing. Their blooms to coincide with the brief explosion of phytoplankton that occurs when sea ice retreats and sunlight finally penetrates the surface waters. It's a high stakes gamble that requires precise timing but rewards successful individuals with abundant food and optimal conditions for their offspring. The lion's mane jellyfish represents the giant among jellyfish species, with bells that can exceed 6 feet in diameter and tentacles that trail for dozens of yards. These massive creatures are living drift nets capable of capturing prey across enormous volumes of water. Yet, despite their impressive size, they remain as vulnerable to ocean currents as their smaller relatives. Their great bulk actually making them less maneuverable and more dependent on favorable water movements. Watching a giant lion's mane jellyfish move through the water is like observing a living parachute, its massive bell contracting slowly and deliberately as it pulses through the sea. The thousands of tentacles that hang beneath create an underwater curtain that can stretch across considerable distances. Any small fish or crustacean that blunders into this living net faces almost certain capture the seasonal migrations of these giants. Follow ancient patterns that connect Arctic feeding grounds with temperate breeding areas. Their journeys can span thousands of miles as they ride ocean currents like massive living balloons, occasionally washing up on beaches where their impressive size and potent sting create both wonder and concern among beachgoers. In tropical waters, where warmth and abundant sunlight create ideal conditions for marine life, jellyfish have evolved into some of their most beautiful and diverse forms. The crystal jellies that inhabit these warm seas often appear like living jewels, their transparent bodies refracting sunlight into rainbow patterns that shift and dance with each movement of their bells. The flower hat jelly, with its distinctive purple stripes and elegant trailing tentacles, exemplifies the artistic potential of jellyfish evolution. Its movements through tropical waters resemble an underwater ballet, each pulse of its bell creating graceful undulations that seem choreographed by the ocean itself. These creatures often inhabit the twilight zone, where dim sunlight filters down, creating an environment of perpetual dusk, perfect for their subtle beauty. The blue blubber jellyfish, found in the warm waters of the Pacific, demonstrates remarkable color variation, with individuals ranging from pure white through pale blue to deep purple. This diversity isn't random, but reflects both genetic differences and environmental influences with diet and water conditions affecting the intensity and hue of their coloration. Some tropical jellyfish have evolved elaborate partnerships with cleaning fish that remove parasites and dead tissue from their bells and tentacles. These relationships mirror the cleaning stations found on coral reefs, where larger fish submit to the ministrations of smaller species. The jellyfish benefits from improved health, while the cleaner fish gains a reliable food source. The boxed jellyfish of tropical Australian waters represents one of nature's most perfect predators. Despite their simple appearance, these creatures possess sophisticated visual systems with multiple types of eyes that can form images and track movement. Their ability to actively hunt rather than simply drift and wait sets them apart from most other jellyfish species. Their transparency makes them nearly invisible in the water column, a hunting advantage that allows them to approach prey undetected until it's too late for escape. Their tentacles, armed with some of the most potent venom in the animal kingdom, can kill fish almost instantly, ensuring that struggling prey doesn't damage the delicate feeding appendages. The reproductive strategies of box jellyfish involve complex courtship behaviors where males and females engage in synchronized swimming patterns before mating. These rituals may last for hours as the potential partners circle and pulse around each other in what appears to be an underwater dance of attraction in the Mediterranean Sea, ancient cradle of human civilization. Jellyfish populations tell stories of environmental change that stretch back thousands of years. Archaeological evidence suggests that jellyfish blooms were known to ancient mariners who developed techniques for predicting and avoiding these gelatinous swarms. The nomad jellyfish, originally from the Red Sea, has colonized the Mediterranean through the Suez Canal, representing one of the most successful marine invasions in recorded history. This species has adapted remarkably well to its new environment, sometimes forming blooms so dense they affect local fishing industries and tourism. Mediterranean jellyfish have also adapted to the seasonal rhythms of this nearly enclosed sea. Their life cycles synchronized with the complex circulation patterns that move water masses between different basins. The timing of their reproduction often coincides with the arrival of nutrient rich waters that support the plankton blooms they depend upon. The immortal jellyfish found in Mediterranean waters has become one of the most studied creatures in marine biology due to its remarkable ability to reverse its aging process when faced with stress injury or old age. This tiny creature can transform its adult medusa form back into a juvenile polyp, essentially resetting its biological clock. This process, called transdifferentiation, involves the reorganization of existing cells into new cell types, allowing the jellyfish to rebuild its body from the inside out. It's like having the ability to transform from an adult back into a child, retaining all the genetic information needed to grow up again, but starting fresh with a young body. Scientists studying this phenomenon hope to understand the cellular mechanisms that make such dramatic rejuvenation possible. The implications for human medicine and our understanding of aging could be profound if we can decode the secrets locked within these tiny transparent creatures. The seasonal rhythms of jellyfish in temperate waters create natural calendars that coastal communities have learned to read like ancient texts. The first moon jellies of spring signal the warming of surface waters, while the appearance of comb jellies in summer indicates the peak of planktonic productivity. These patterns connect modern observers to countless generations of fishermen and sailors who learned to predict weather patterns and seasonal changes by watching the movements and abundance of jellyfish. Their appearance or absence serving as biological weather vanes that could forecast conditions weeks or months in advance. The cultural significance of jellyfish extends far beyond their practical importance. As environmental indicators in Japanese culture, jellyfish represent the ephemeral nature of life. Their transparent beauty and graceful movements symbolizing the delicate balance between existence and dissolution. Japanese artists have captured the essence of jellyfish in countless works of art, from ancient woodblock prints to modern installations, their flowing forms and translucent bodies providing inspiration for aesthetic movements that celebrate simplicity, transparency, and natural grace. The annual jellyfish festivals, held in various coastal communities around the world, celebrate these creatures as both natural wonders and important components of marine ecosystems. These events often combine scientific education with cultural appreciation, helping people develop more nuanced relationships with creatures they might otherwise view as mere nuisances. Aquarium displays featuring jellyfish have become increasingly sophisticated as institutions learn to maintain these delicate creatures in captivity. The hypnotic beauty of jellyfish tanks creates meditative spaces where visitors can observe the rhythmic pulsing movements that seem to slow time itself. The engineering challenges involved in keeping jellyfish healthy in artificial environments have led to innovations in water circulation, filtration, and lighting systems. These advances benefit not only captive jellyfish, but also contribute to our understanding of how these creatures interact with their environment. Watching jellyfish in a carefully designed aquarium exhibit provides opportunities to observe behaviors and details that would be impossible to see in the wild. Their feeding responses, social interactions, and reproductive behaviors can be studied under controlled conditions that reveal new aspects of their biology. The philosophical implications of jellyfish existence challenge our assumptions about consciousness, intelligence, and the nature of life itself. These creatures, with no brains, manage to navigate complex, three-dimensional environments, find food, avoid predators, and reproduce successfully using only simple neural networks and chemical sensors. Their success raises profound questions about what intelligence really means and whether consciousness as we understand it is necessary for sophisticated behavior. The apparent purposefulness of jellyfish actions suggests that meaningful behavior can emerge from surprisingly simple biological systems. The meditation practitioners who use jellyfish movements as focal points for contemplation find in their rhythmic pulsing a natural mandala that helps quiet the mind and center attention. The hypnotic quality of their motion seems to bypass rational thought and speak directly to deeper levels of awareness. Some philosophers have suggested that jellyfish represent a kind of pure being, existing fully in each moment without the burden of memory or anticipation that characterizes human consciousness. Their transparent presence in the water column embodies a form of mindfulness that humans can aspire to but rarely achieve. The conservation of jellyfish presents unique challenges since these creatures often lack the charismatic appeal that drives protection efforts for more familiar marine animals. Yet their importance to ocean ecosystems makes their conservation crucial for maintaining the health of marine environments. Protecting jellyfish means protecting the entire web of relationships that sustain ocean life, from the microscopic plankton they feed upon to the larger predators that depend on them for food. Their conservation requires understanding and preserving the complex environmental conditions that support their life cycles. Climate change represents both opportunity and threat for jellyfish populations. Some species may benefit from warming waters and changing ocean chemistry, while others face challenges as their carefully adapted life cycles become mismatched with environmental rhythms. The future of jellyfish in our changing oceans remains uncertain, but their remarkable resilience and adaptability suggest they will continue to find ways to thrive in whatever conditions the future brings. Their ancient lineage has survived countless environmental changes and mass extinctions that eliminated many other life forms as we continue to explore and understand these remarkable creatures. We find ourselves drawn into their liquid world where grace and simplicity create beauty that transcends the boundaries between science and art. They remind us that some of nature's most profound lessons come not from complexity, but from the elegant solutions that emerge when form perfectly matches function. Their transparent existence offers us a window into a different way of being, one where movement becomes meditation and survival becomes an art form practiced over millions of years without conscious thought or deliberate intention. Jellyfish simply are, and in their being, they achieve a kind of perfection that more complex creatures spend lifetimes seeking. The study of jellyfish nervous systems reveals networks of startling elegance. Despite lacking centralized brains, these creatures possess distributed neural networks that coordinate complex behaviors. Their nerve nets spread throughout their bell and tentacles, like living circuitry creating responses that seem almost instantaneous when stimulated. These simple neural networks can process multiple types of information, simultaneously detecting changes in light pressure, chemical gradients, and mechanical disturbance without the bottlenecks that sometimes plague more centralized nervous systems. Each part of the network can respond independently while contributing to coordinated whole body responses. The learning abilities of jellyfish continue to surprise researchers. Some species can modify their behavior based on experience, showing forms of memory that persist despite their lack of complex brains. Box jellyfish have been observed learning to navigate around obstacles and even anticipating the movements of their prey, suggesting cognitive abilities that challenge our understanding of intelligence. Their sensory world operates on principles we can barely imagine. Chemical signals that would be undetectable to us carry information across vast distances underwater, while pressure waves from distant movements create patterns. They can read like an underwater braille. Their entire body serves as the sensory organ, constantly sampling their environment. The bioluminescent communications of deep sea jellyfish may represent one of the oldest forms of visual signaling on Earth. Their light patterns could convey information about species identity, reproductive status, or territorial boundaries, though deciphering these underwater light shows remains one of marine biology's greatest challenges. Some species coordinate their bioluminescent displays, creating synchronized light shows that can be seen from considerable distances. These group performances might serve to confuse predators, attract prey, or facilitate mating encounters. The precise timing required suggests sophisticated internal clocks that remain largely mysterious. The chemical ecology of jellyfish involves a complex array of compounds that serve purposes from defense to communication. Their mucus contains antimicrobial substances that protect against infection, while their tissues produce pheromones that can attract mates or repel competitors from considerable distances. The seasonal chemistry of jellyfish bodies changes dramatically as they prepare for reproduction or respond to environmental stresses. These biochemical shifts affect everything from their buoyancy to their feeding behavior, creating cycles within cycles that connect their internal rhythms to the larger patterns of ocean life. Their role as ecosystem engineers becomes more apparent as scientists study their impacts on water column structure. During large blooms, jellyfish can significantly alter local water chemistry and oxygen levels, their feeding and metabolic activities creating conditions that favor some species while challenging others. The vertical migrations performed by jellyfish create biological elevators that transport nutrients between different ocean layers. Their daily journeys from deep waters to the surface carry essential compounds upward, while their waste products sink, creating nutrient cycles that support entire marine food webs. Some jellyfish species have evolved to take advantage of underwater topography, using seamounts, ridges, and canyon walls to concentrate their prey or find mates. These creatures that seem to drift aimlessly actually navigate with purpose, following underwater landmarks that guide their movements. The seasonal aggregations of jellyfish often occur at specific locations that offer optimal conditions for feeding or reproduction. These gathering sites become temporary underwater cities where millions of individuals converge, following environmental cues that have guided their ancestors for countless generations. The mating systems of jellyfish, when they exist, involve elaborate chemical and behavioral communications that can span vast distances. Males may release pheromones that attract females from miles away, while synchronized swimming patterns ensure that gametes are released at precisely the right moment for fertilization. Some species engage in what appears to be courtship behavior, with potential partners circling each other in complex patterns before spawning. These rituals may serve to ensure species recognition and genetic compatibility, while also timing reproductive activities to coincide with optimal environmental conditions. The parental care strategies of jellyfish vary dramatically. Some species abandon their offspring immediately after spawning, while others provide extended protection, carrying developing young within specialized brood pouches or creating protective barriers around spawning sites. The colonial jellyfish that form interconnected communities represent some of nature's most sophisticated examples of cooperative living. Each individual polyp in the colony specializes in specific functions while remaining connected to the group through shared tissues and circulatory systems. These colonial creatures can coordinate responses across their entire community, with information traveling through their connected tissues faster than neural signals, allowing the colony to respond as a unified organism to threats or opportunities. Their collective decision making processes remain largely mysterious. The seasonal rhythms of colonial jellyfish involve synchronized reproductive cycles where thousands of individuals release gametes simultaneously, creating underwater snowstorms of genetic material. This coordination requires internal timing mechanisms that can synchronize across entire populations. The deep sea jellyfish that inhabit hydrothermal vents represent some of the most extreme adaptations to marine environments. These creatures live in conditions of crushing pressure, scalding temperatures, and toxic chemistry that would be lethal to most life forms. Their transparent bodies reveal internal structures adapted to process the unique chemistry of vent environments. Specialized organs filter toxic compounds, while modified digestive systems extract nutrients from the unusual food sources available in these underwater oases. The bioluminescent displays of vent dwelling jellyfish often incorporate elements rare in other marine environments. Their light patterns may serve as beacons in the perpetual darkness, helping individuals locate the narrow zones where conditions support life. Some vent species have evolved partnerships with chemosynthetic bacteria that convert toxic chemicals into usable energy. These relationships mirror the algal partnerships found in shallow water species, but operate on completely different chemical principles adapted to the unique conditions of deep sea vents. The life cycles of hydrothermal vent jellyfish must cope with the ephemeral nature of their habitat. As vents shift and change over geological timescales, these creatures have evolved dispersal mechanisms that allow them to colonize new vents as they form while abandoning sites that become uninhabitable. The genetic diversity within jellyfish populations reflects their long evolutionary history and wide geographic distribution. Some species show remarkable genetic uniformity across vast ocean basins, while others display fine scale genetic structure that reflects local adaptations. The molecular clocks embedded in jellyfish DNA tell stories of ancient dispersals and population expansions that coincide with major geological and climatic events. Their genetic heritage carries information about ice ages, volcanic eruptions, and the formation of ocean basins that shaped their distribution patterns. Some jellyfish species represent living fossils with genetic lineages that can be traced back hundreds of millions of years. These ancient bloodlines provide windows into the early evolution of animal life and the fundamental processes that govern multicellular organization. The comparative genomics of jellyfish reveals surprising complexity hidden within their simple body plans. Genes for sophisticated developmental processes, sensory systems, and metabolic pathways show that apparent simplicity often masks underlying genetic sophistication. Their regenerative abilities operate through genetic programs that can be activated in response to injury or environmental stress. Understanding these molecular mechanisms could provide insights into healing and tissue repair processes that might benefit human medicine. The seasonal gene expression patterns of jellyfish change dramatically as they transition between different life stages and respond to environmental cues. These genetic switches control everything from metamorphosis timing to reproductive maturation, creating flexible responses to changing conditions. The symbiotic relationships between jellyfish and their microbial partners involve complex genetic interactions where host and symbiont coordinate their metabolic activities. These partnerships require genetic mechanisms that allow different species to integrate their biochemical processes. Some jellyfish harbor diverse microbial communities within their tissues, creating floating ecosystems where bacteria, archaea, and other microorganisms form complex food webs. The jellyfish provides habitat and nutrients, while the microorganisms contribute to digestion, defense, and even bioluminescence. The antibiotic compounds produced by jellyfish associated bacteria help protect their hosts from pathogenic infections while also providing chemical weapons for competition with other microorganisms. These natural pharmaceuticals represent potential sources of new medicines. The seasonal succession of microbial communities within jellyfish tissues reflects changing environmental conditions and host physiology. Different bacterial species dominate during different life stages or seasons, creating dynamic partnerships that evolve throughout the host's lifetime. The biogeochemical impacts of jellyfish extend far beyond their immediate environment. Their feeding activities can alter the cycling of carbon, nitrogen, and other essential elements through marine ecosystems. During blooms, they can temporarily sequester significant amounts of carbon from surface waters. Their transparent bodies serve as windows for studying cellular processes in living organisms. Researchers can observe development, metabolism, and reproduction in real time using techniques that would be impossible with opaque creatures. This transparency has made jellyfish valuable model organisms for biological research. The mathematical models used to predict jellyfish population dynamics must account for their complex life cycles, environmental dependencies, and interaction with other species. These models help scientists understand how climate change, pollution, and fishing activities might affect jellyfish communities. The economic valuation of jellyfish ecosystem services attempts to quantify their contributions to ocean health and human welfare. Though these calculations are challenging, their roles in food webs, nutrient cycling, and supporting fisheries represent significant economic values. The cultural dimensions of human jellyfish interactions vary dramatically across different societies. Some cultures celebrate jellyfish as symbols of resilience and adaptability, while others view them primarily through the lens of their impacts on human activities. The artistic inspiration provided by jellyfish extends from ancient cave paintings to modern digital art. Their flowing forms and ethereal beauty continue to captivate human imagination, serving as subjects for countless creative works across all media. The biomimetic applications of jellyfish design principles span engineering, robotics, and materials science. Their efficient propulsion systems, flexible structures, and transparent materials inspire innovations that could benefit everything from underwater vehicles to medical devices. The monitoring technologies used to study jellyfish populations include everything from underwater cameras to satellite imagery. These tools provide unprecedented insights into jellyfish behavior distribution and abundance patterns across spatial and temporal scales. The citizen science programs that engage the public in jellyfish research have created vast databases of observations that complement traditional scientific studies. These collaborative efforts demonstrate how public engagement can enhance our understanding of marine ecosystems. The educational value of jellyfish extends beyond their biological significance. They serve as excellent examples of adaptation, evolution, and ecological relationships, while their visual appeal makes them effective ambassadors for ocean conservation. The therapeutic applications of jellyfish watching have been recognized in healthcare settings where their peaceful movements provide calming influences for patients with anxiety, stress, or other conditions. Their hypnotic qualities seem to naturally induce relaxation and mindfulness. The seasonal festivals celebrating jellyfish create opportunities for communities to connect with marine environments. While learning about ocean conservation, these events often combine scientific education with cultural activities that strengthen human connections to the sea. The photographic challenges of capturing jellyfish in their natural environment have pushed underwater photography to new technical heights. Their transparency and movement require specialized techniques that reveal beauty invisible to casual observation. The acoustic properties of jellyfish may play roles in their ecology that scientists are only beginning to understand. Some species produce sounds during feeding or swimming, while others might detect acoustic signals from predators or prey. Their responses to underwater sound pollution from shipping and industrial activities could affect their behavior and distribution patterns. Though research in this area is still in its early stages, understanding these impacts becomes increasingly important as ocean noise levels continue to rise. The paleontological record of jellyfish, though sparse due to their soft bodies, occasionally reveals spectacular fossils that provide glimpses into their ancient diversity. Some extinct species achieved sizes and forms that have no modern equivalents. The coevolutionary relationships between jellyfish and their predators have shaped both groups over millions of years. Sea turtles have evolved specialized adaptations for feeding on jellyfish, while jellyfish have developed defenses against turtle predation. The seasonal timing of jellyfish reproduction often synchronizes with the reproductive cycles of their predators, creating complex ecological dances where predator and prey populations rise and fall in coordinated patterns. The dispersal mechanisms of jellyfish larvae allow them to colonize new habitats and maintain genetic connections between distant populations. Their planktonic larvae can travel thousands of miles on ocean currents, creating gene flow across entire ocean basins. The habitat restoration efforts that benefit jellyfish often focus on protecting spawning areas and reducing pollution that disrupts their life cycles. These conservation strategies recognize that protecting jellyfish requires maintaining the entire ecosystem they depend upon. The climate adaptation strategies being developed for jellyfish conservation must account for their complex life cycles and environmental dependencies. Protecting these creatures in a changing world requires understanding how warming seas and shifting currents will affect their ancient patterns. The research technologies being developed specifically for jellyfish studies include specialized sampling equipment, underwater vehicles, and laboratory systems that can maintain these delicate creatures for extended observation. The international cooperation required for jellyfish research reflects their global distribution and migratory patterns. Understanding their ecology requires coordinated efforts across national boundaries and research institutions. The future directions of jellyfish research include investigations into their potential roles as indicators of ocean health, their applications in biotechnology, and their responses to global environmental changes. As we continue to explore the mysteries of these ancient drifters, we find ourselves drawn deeper into questions that challenge our understanding of life, consciousness, and our place in the natural world. Jellyfish remind us that beauty and complexity can emerge from the simplest elements, that success doesn't always require sophistication, and that some of nature's most profound lessons come wrapped in transparent packages that seem to contain nothing but water and light. Their continued presence in our oceans serves as a bridge between the ancient past and an uncertain future, connecting us to evolutionary processes that began long before humans existed and will likely continue long after we're gone. They carry within their simple bodies the accumulated wisdom of millions of years of adaptation, the patient knowledge of creatures that have learned to thrive by accepting what the ocean offers and flowing with currents beyond their control. In their graceful pulsing through the eternal blue, we glimpse something essential about existence itself, the possibility of finding profound meaning in simple movements, of discovering that sometimes the most powerful way to navigate life's currents is not to fight against them, but to dance with them as jellyfish have done since time immemorial. Tonight, as we drift alongside these ancient mariners in our imaginations, let us consider the profound lessons they offer about resilience, about finding beauty in simplicity, and about the art of moving through life with grace even when the currents seem uncertain. Jellyfish teach us that survival doesn't always require armor or aggression. Sometimes, the most effective defense is transparency, the ability to be seen without being fully understood, to move through hostile environments by becoming part of them rather than fighting against them. Their soft bodies yield to pressure, yet spring back to their original form, demonstrating a kind of strength that doesn't announce itself with rigid structures or sharp edges. In a world that often rewards complexity and sophistication, jellyfish remind us that elegance can emerge from the most basic elements. Their success story, written in water and time, suggests that sometimes the path forward isn't about adding more features or capabilities, but about perfecting what you already have, about finding the essential core of what works and holding on to it across the ages. Their radial symmetry speaks to a different way of organizing existence, where there's no single front or back, no predetermined direction of travel, but rather an openness to whatever the currents might bring. This flexibility allows them to respond to opportunities and threats from any direction without the limitations that come from having a fixed orientation in space. Watching jellyfish move through their liquid world, we witness a form of meditation in motion, each pulse of their bell a breath, each drift through the water a moment of perfect presence. They don't struggle against the tide or fight to reach some distant destination. They simply exist fully in each moment, allowing the ocean to carry them where it will while maintaining their essential jellyfish nature. Their feeding strategy embodies a kind of patient opportunism. They don't chase their prey with frantic energy or elaborate hunting schemes. Instead, they create the conditions for success and wait, spreading their tentacles like living nets and trusting that the ocean will eventually bring them what they need. It's a lesson in the power of preparation combined with acceptance. The way jellyfish respond to threats reveals another aspect of their wisdom when faced with danger. They don't always flee. Instead, they might contract into a smaller, more protected form, or release clouds of stinging cells that create a defensive barrier around them. They understand that sometimes the best response to aggression is not counterattack, but strategic withdrawal. Their reproductive strategy demonstrates the value of having multiple approaches to success. The complex alternation between polyp and medusa stages ensures that even if one form faces challenges, the other might thrive. It's a biological insurance policy that spreads risk across different life strategies and environmental conditions. The transparency that makes jellyfish so visually striking also serves as a metaphor for a different way of being in the world. They hide nothing, their internal workings visible to anyone who takes the time to look closely. Yet this openness doesn't make them vulnerable. It makes them nearly invisible to both predators and prey. Their ancient lineage connects them to the earliest experiments in multicellular life. Yet they've never become trapped by their evolutionary history. Instead, they've remained flexible enough to adapt to changing conditions while maintaining the essential characteristics that define them as jellyfish. In the deep sea, where food is scarce and conditions are harsh, jellyfish have learned to live with remarkable efficiency. Their slow metabolisms allow them to survive on minimal resources, while their bioluminescent capabilities turn them into living beacons in the darkness. They've discovered how to create light from within, even in the most lightless places. The seasonal rhythms that govern jellyfish populations reflect a deep attunement to larger cycles beyond individual control. They respond to temperature changes, day length, and chemical signals with a precision that suggests they're connected to something much larger than themselves. Their timing synchronized with oceanic processes that span continents. Their role in marine food webs illustrates the interconnectedness of all ocean life. What affects jellyfish populations ripples through entire ecosystems, demonstrating that even creatures that seem to drift aimlessly are actually integral threads in the vast tapestry of marine existence. The study of jellyfish consciousness, or lack thereof, challenges our assumptions about what it means to be aware. They respond to their environment, make decisions, and even learn from experience. Yet they do so without the centralized processing systems we associate with thought. It suggests that awareness might be more distributed and fundamental than we typically imagine. Their regenerative abilities hint at possibilities that seem almost magical to creatures like ourselves who live with permanent scars and irreversible damage. Jellyfish can regrow lost parts, rebuild damaged structures, and in some cases, even reverse the aging process. They embody a kind of biological optimism that sees damage not as permanent limitation, but as temporary setback. The partnerships they form with algae and other organisms demonstrate that cooperation can be just as powerful as competition in driving evolutionary success. These symbiotic relationships create benefits that neither partner could achieve alone, showing how different forms of life can enhance each other's capabilities. Their migrations, both vertical and horizontal, reveal navigation abilities that seem impossible for creatures without complex brains. Yet somehow they find their way across vast distances following environmental cues. We're only beginning to understand they possess a kind of embodied intelligence that operates below the level of conscious thought. The seasonal appearance of jellyfish in coastal waters has become part of the natural calendar that connects human communities to oceanic rhythms. Their arrival and departure mark transitions that have meaning beyond their immediate biological impacts. They serve as ambassadors from the deep, bringing news of conditions in waters we rarely see. Their response to climate change offers both hope and concern. Some species demonstrate remarkable adaptability, expanding their ranges and adjusting their life cycles to match changing conditions. Others face challenges as the delicate environmental relationships they depend upon become disrupted. The bioluminescent displays of jellyfish create underwater art galleries where living creatures become both artist and artwork. Their light patterns shift and change in response to currents, disturbances, and perhaps even emotions. We can't comprehend. They remind us that beauty exists for its own sake, not just for human appreciation. Their feeding on plankton connects them directly to the base of marine food webs. They transform microscopic life into their own transparent substance, creating a living bridge between the smallest and larger forms of ocean life. Their digestive processes help recycle nutrients and maintain the chemical balance that supports all marine ecosystems. The way jellyfish populations respond to environmental changes makes them sensitive indicators of ocean health. Their abundance distribution and behavior patterns can signal shifts in water quality, temperature, and chemistry long before these changes become apparent through other means. They serve as early warning systems for marine ecosystems. Their lack of complex organ systems paradoxically gives them advantages in unstable environments. They don't depend on intricate machinery that might fail under stress. Instead, their simple organization allows them to function across a wide range of conditions with remarkable resilience. The cultural significance of jellyfish varies dramatically across human societies, but their ethereal beauty and mysterious nature seem to speak to something universal in the human psyche. They appear in art literature and mythology as symbols of transformation, fluidity, and the mysterious nature of life itself. Their prehistoric origins connect contemporary observers to the deepest history of life on Earth. When we watch a jellyfish pulse through the water, we're witnessing a form of existence that predates most of the complexity we associate with advanced life. They carry within their simple bodies the memory of ancient seas. The conservation challenges facing jellyfish populations require new approaches that account for their unique life cycles and ecological roles. Protecting them means understanding and preserving the entire web of relationships that support their existence, from the microscopic organisms they feed upon to the larger predators that depend on them. Their adaptation to different ocean zones, from surface waters to abyssal depths, demonstrates the remarkable plasticity of their basic body plan. The same fundamental design has been modified and refined to succeed in virtually every marine environment on Earth. The seasonal timing of jellyfish reproduction often coincides with optimal environmental conditions, showing how these creatures remain connected to natural cycles. Despite their apparent simplicity, their internal clocks somehow stay synchronized with oceanic rhythms that span the globe. Their role in carbon cycling helps regulate global climate processes as they feed, grow, reproduce, and die. They move carbon between different parts of the ocean system, contributing to the complex biogeochemical processes that influence atmospheric conditions. The medicinal compounds found in jellyfish tissues represent millions of years of biochemical evolution. These natural pharmaceuticals have been refined through countless generations of predator prey interactions, creating molecular tools that might benefit human health. Their transparent bodies have made them valuable subjects for biological research, allowing scientists to observe cellular processes that would be invisible in opaque organisms. Their contributions to our understanding of development, metabolism, and regeneration extend far beyond marine biology. The engineering principles revealed by jellyfish locomotion continue to inspire innovations in underwater vehicle design. Their efficient use of vortex rings and pressure differentials demonstrates propulsion strategies that human technology is only beginning to match. Their sensory systems, though simple by our standards, are perfectly adapted to their aquatic environment. They can detect chemical gradients, pressure changes, and electromagnetic fields with sensitivity that allows them to navigate and find food in the vast three-dimensional space of the ocean. The social behaviors observed in some jellyfish species challenge our assumptions about collective action without centralized control. Their ability to coordinate movements and aggregate in favorable locations suggests forms of communication and decision making that operate below our normal threshold of awareness. Their response to light, both natural and artificial, reveals sophisticated behavioral strategies that help them optimize their position in the water column and avoid predators. Their phototactic responses demonstrate how even simple nervous systems can process complex environmental information. The partnerships between jellyfish and cleaning organisms create mobile service stations in the open ocean where different species benefit from temporary associations. These relationships show how cooperation can emerge even between creatures with vastly different lifestyles and capabilities. Their ability to concentrate rare elements from seawater into their tissues makes them potential biological indicators of ocean chemistry changes in their elemental composition can reveal pollution sources and environmental shifts that might otherwise go undetected. The mathematical models used to understand jellyfish population dynamics must account for their complex life cycles, environmental dependencies, and interactions with other species. These computational tools help predict how changing conditions might affect their future abundance and distribution. Their fossil record, though limited by their soft body construction, occasionally provides glimpses into their ancient diversity. Some extinct forms achieved sizes and shapes that have no modern equivalents, suggesting that jellyfish evolution has explored possibilities. We can barely imagine the acoustic properties of jellyfish and their potential sensitivity to underwater noise pollution represent emerging areas of research as ocean soundscapes change due to human activities. Understanding how these changes affect jellyfish behavior becomes increasingly important. Their metabolic strategies allow them to survive in environments where food is scarce and unpredictable. Their ability to slow their life processes during difficult periods and accelerate them when conditions improve demonstrates remarkable physiological flexibility. The genetic diversity within jellyfish populations reflects their long evolutionary history and wide geographic distribution. Studying their genetics provides insights into how marine species respond to environmental changes over both short and long time scales. Their symbiotic relationships with microorganisms create floating ecosystems where jellyfish serve as hosts for complex microbial communities. These partnerships contribute to ocean productivity and nutrient cycling in ways that scientists are only beginning to understand. The seasonal migrations of jellyfish connect different marine ecosystems as they move between feeding and breeding areas. Their journeys help transfer energy and nutrients across vast distances, contributing to the connectivity of ocean life. Their feeding efficiency allows them to take advantage of patchy food resources in the open ocean. Their ability to capture and process small prey items makes them important consumers of planktonic organisms. The defensive strategies employed by different jellyfish species range from passive camouflage to active chemical warfare. Their diverse approaches to avoiding predation demonstrate the many ways evolution can solve the fundamental challenge of survival. Their reproductive timing often synchronizes with environmental conditions that maximize the survival chances of their offspring. This coordination requires internal biological clocks that can track seasonal changes and respond to environmental cues. The habitat requirements of different jellyfish species reflect the incredible diversity of marine environments from tropical surface waters to polar depths. Each species has evolved specific adaptations that allow them to thrive in particular conditions. Their contribution to marine food webs extends beyond their role as predators and prey. They serve as habitat for other organisms, transport for hitchhiking species, and processing centers for organic matter. The conservation status of jellyfish species varies dramatically. Some are thriving in changing oceans, while others face challenges from habitat loss, pollution, and climate change. Understanding these differences is crucial for developing effective protection strategies. Their ancient wisdom, encoded in simple behaviors, offers lessons about sustainability, resilience, and adaptation that remain relevant as we face our own environmental challenges. They demonstrate that success doesn't always require complexity, but rather finding the right balance between flexibility and stability. As we near the end of our gentle exploration of these remarkable creatures, we find ourselves changed by the encounter with their liquid grace, their transparent beauty, and their profound connection to the rhythms of our planet. They remind us that the ocean holds mysteries that can only be appreciated when we slow down enough to notice the subtle wonders that surround us in their pulsing movements through the eternal blue. We glimpse something essential about the nature of existence itself, the possibility that meaning can emerge from the simplest patterns, that beauty needs no justification beyond its own presence, and that sometimes the most profound truths are carried by the most humble messengers. Their continued dance through our oceans serves as a gentle reminder that we share this planet with forms of life whose existence spans timescales that dwarf human history. They were here long before us, pulsing through ancient seas, and they will likely continue their graceful journey long after our own chapter in Earth's story has ended tonight as you drift toward sleep. Perhaps you'll carry with you images of these transparent wanderers, their bells contracting in slow rhythm, their tentacles trailing like liquid silk through moonlit waters. They offer us a meditation on the beauty of simplicity, the power of adaptation, and the grace that can emerge when we learn to move with the currents rather than against them. In their silent dance through the depths, jellyfish embody a kind of liquid wisdom that speaks to something deep within the human spirit. They remind us that there are many ways to navigate the currents of existence, and that sometimes the most elegant solutions are also the most ancient ones, perfected over millions of years in the vast patient classroom of the sea. So, as we drift toward the gentle close of our underwater reverie, let us pause for one final moment to absorb the quiet magnificence of these ancient drifters who have shared their secrets with us tonight. Through layers of time and tide, through the rise and fall of countless species, through ice ages and warming periods, through the slow dance of continents across the globe, jellyfish have maintained their graceful presence in our oceans like living prayers whispered in a language older than words. Their story is ultimately our story too, for we are all travelers on this blue marble spinning through space, all of us seeking our place in the vast currents that carry life forward from one moment to the next. Jellyfish, in their transparent simplicity, remind us that survival is not always about strength or speed, but about finding harmony with forces greater than ourselves, about learning to pulse with the rhythm of existence rather than fighting against its flow. In their radial symmetry, we glimpse a different way of organizing a life, one that remains open to possibilities from every direction, that doesn't insist on a single path forward, but remains receptive to whatever gifts the universe might offer their bodies. Tell us that sometimes the most profound strength comes not from rigid structures, but from the ability to yield and return to form again and again. Watching them drift through their liquid realm, we witness a form of meditation in motion, a way of being that requires no destination, no urgent agenda, no frantic pursuit of goals. They simply exist fully present in each translucent moment, trusting that the ocean will provide what they need when they need it, a lesson in faith that spans geological epochs. Their feeding strategy offers its own gentle wisdom about patience and preparation. They don't chase frantically after what they desire. Instead, they create the conditions for abundance and wait with tentacles spread like delicate nets, trusting that life will eventually bring them nourishment. It's a profound teaching about the difference between desperate grasping and graceful receiving. The way they respond to threats reveals another facet of their ancient knowledge. When danger approaches, they don't always flee in panic. Instead, they might contract into a smaller, more protected form or release defensive measures that create space around them. They understand intuitively that sometimes the wisest response to aggression is not counterattack, but strategic withdrawal. Their reproductive cycles remind us that transformation is not something to fear, but something to embrace with each generation. Jellyfish literally become something entirely different, polyps transforming into medusae, juveniles growing into adults, each stage perfect in its own way, yet part of a larger becoming that connects them to the eternal dance of creation in the deepest trenches where sunlight never penetrates. Jellyfish have learned to create their own illumination, becoming living beacons in the darkness. Their bioluminescence speaks to the possibility that even in the most challenging circumstances, we can find ways to generate our own light, to become sources of beauty and guidance for others, navigating similar depths. Their transparency offers perhaps the most profound lesson of all. They hide nothing, their inner workings, is visible to anyone who takes the time to look closely. Yet this openness doesn't make them vulnerable, it makes them nearly invisible to those who would do them harm. There's a deep teaching here about the protective power of authenticity, the safety that can come from having nothing to hide. As we've journeyed together through their watery world, we've discovered that these seemingly simple creatures carry within their translucent bodies wisdom that could fill libraries, lessons about resilience, adaptability, cooperation, and the art of moving through life with grace. They remind us that intelligence takes many forms, that consciousness might be more distributed and mysterious than we typically imagine. Their ancient lineage connects us to the very roots of complex life on Earth. When we observe a jellyfish pulsing through the water, we're witnessing echoes of our own evolutionary past, seeing creatures whose basic design was perfected when the Earth was young and has remained virtually unchanged through hundreds of millions of years of environmental change. In coastal waters around the world, their seasonal appearances have become part of the natural calendar, marking transitions that connect human communities to oceanic rhythms. Their arrival speaks of warming waters and abundant plankton, their departure signals changing seasons and shifting currents. They serve as gentle ambassadors from the deep, bringing news of conditions in waters. We rarely see their role in the vast web of ocean life, reminds us that no creature exists in isolation. What affects jellyfish populations ripples through entire marine ecosystems, demonstrating that even the most apparently passive organisms play crucial roles in maintaining the balance that supports all ocean life. The challenges they face in our changing world mirror many of our own struggles with rapid environmental change, rising temperatures, shifting chemistry, altered currents. Yet their remarkable adaptability offers hope. Their ability to modify their behavior, adjust their timing, and even expand their ranges in response to new conditions shows us that flexibility and resilience can overcome seemingly insurmountable obstacles. Their partnerships with other organisms, from the algae that live within their tissues to the fish that shelter among their tentacles, demonstrate that cooperation can be just as powerful as competition in driving success. These relationships show us how different forms of life can enhance each other's capabilities, creating benefits that neither could achieve alone. As we prepare to surface from our deep dive into their world, we carry with us images of ethereal beauty, creatures of water and light that seem to embody the very essence of fluidity and grace. Their hypnotic movements have slowed our thoughts, quieted our minds, and reminded us that some of life's most profound teachings come wrapped in the simplest packages the next time you find yourself near an ocean. Perhaps you'll pause at the water's edge and imagine the invisible ballet taking place just beyond the waves, millions of jellyfish pulsing through their liquid realm, each one a small miracle of adaptation and survival, carrying forward an unbroken chain of existence that stretches back to the dawn of animal life. Their story continues, even as we reach the end of ours tonight. Somewhere in the darkness of the deep sea, a bioluminescent jellyfish is creating its own constellation of light. Somewhere in tropical shallows, a crystal jelly is drifting through dappled sunlight somewhere in the vast blue middle waters. Ancient mariners are following currents older than continents on journeys that connect distant seas. They remind us that we are all part of something much larger than ourselves, all connected by invisible currents that carry us through the ocean of existence. Their graceful acceptance of these currents, their ability to find beauty and meaning in the simple act of being, offers us a different way of understanding our place in the vast mystery of life. So, as you drift towards sleep tonight, perhaps you'll carry with you the image of these transparent wanderers, their bells contracting in ancient rhythm, their tentacles trailing through moonlit waters like liquid silk. They offer us a final gift, the reminder that sometimes the most profound wisdom comes not from complexity, but from learning to move with elegant simplicity through whatever currents life may bring. In their silent dance through the eternal blue jellyfish, whisper to us across the ages, telling us that there is beauty in transparency, strength in yielding wisdom, in ancient rhythms, and grace in accepting what the tide brings, while trusting in the deeper currents that carry all life forward into mystery. Thank you for joining me on this gentle voyage into their translucent world. I hope their liquid wisdom brings you peace tonight, and that your dreams carry you on currents as ancient and beautiful as those that have carried jellyfish through millions of years of oceanic wandering sleep. Well, fellow traveler, and may you wake refreshed, having touched something timeless in the quiet depths of wonder.